Okay, class, today we will be going over the Louisiana Purchase project that is due in a week. The requirements for the poster is you must have the information about the topic like where it took place, how it happened, when it happened, who was involved, and why it was good for the country.
Both fall asleep and wake up in the Louisiana Territory. They both realize after some time that they have woken up in the 1800s during when the Louisiana Purchase was happening. They start walking around and bump into Lewis and Clark. Hey girls, what are you doing way out here? Where are your parents? We were trying to find you. Our parents are down the hill.
Why were you trying to find us? We want to know what happened on your expedition.
Oh, well, it all started when the President Thomas Jefferson planned an expedition to explore the Louisiana Territory since 1802. He then chose me, a young officer, to lead the expedition.
Lewis and I are old friends, so we turned to me to find a group of people called the Corps Discovery, which later on was called the Lewis and Clark Expedition. I was accompanied by my slave York, who had great hunting skills, which caused the Native Americans to admire him. He was also the first African American that many natives saw.
When did you guys start the expedition? Well, we set out in the summer of 1803, and by the winter time, we had reached St. Louis.
Isn't that the place our teacher was talking about? That's the gateway to the West.
Exactly. Anyway, we spent the winter and waited for the ceremony that marked the transfer of Louisiana to the United States, and set out of St. Louis in May when we traveled up the Missouri River in one shallow-bottomed riverboat and two canoes made from hollowed-out tree trunks.
We had hoped to find an all-water route across the continent, and we also had instructions from the president to explore the river, establish good relations with the natives, and describe the landscape, plants, and animals we see.
The first afternoon, we had only traveled about 3 miles, and sometimes we had to pull boats instead of rowing. In late October, we reached the Mandan Indian villages in North Dakota. There, we built a small fort and spent the winter there.
In the spring of 1805, we set out again. There we met a French trapper and his wife, Sacagawea, who was only 17 at the time. Sacagawea was a Shoshone woman, so she helped us a lot in our journey. Some of the things she helped us with was she could communicate with the natives, so she was able to get us horses to cross the Rocky Mountains. She also had great geographic knowledge and helped us navigate the wilderness.
On our way west, we had to stop at the Great Falls of the Missouri, which I call the grandest sight I had ever beheld. To get around the Great Falls, we had to carry our boats and supplies for 18 miles. We ended up having to build wheels from cottonwood trees to move the boats. It took us 2 weeks to get around the Great Falls. We encountered rattlesnakes, bears, and a hailstorm.
When we came to the Rocky Mountains, Sacagawea negotiated and got us horses to help us cross the mountains. After the Rocky Mountains, we moved through the Columbia River that leads to the Pacific Ocean. In November of 1805, I wrote in my journal, "Ocean View." Oh, the joy. When we soon arrived at the Pacific coast.
We spent the winter there and returned to St. Louis the following years. Well, how did the Louisiana Territory become a part of the U.S.? Well, you'll have to talk to Thomas Jefferson for that question.
Jefferson's house and ask him how the Louisiana Territory became part of the U.S.
In 1802, I offered to buy New Orleans from France. They offered me the entire Louisiana Territory, which was most likely because they were intimidated by our efforts to keep the port open. Later, on April 30th of 1803, the Louisiana Territory became part of the U.S.
How much did it cost to buy all that land?
The Louisiana Territory cost $15 million and doubled the size of the U.S. There was also a debate on whether or not I should have bought the Louisiana Territory, because the Constitution never said anything about the president's right to buy land. But the purchase also opened a lot of opportunities and was a big step towards the idea of manifest destiny.
Wow! The girls wake up back in class and start working on their project, and they present it and get an A.